It was a dusty afternoon in the heart of the city, known for its ancient rocks and bustling markets. Amidst the sounds of honking local buses, calling hawkers, and the distant rhythm of a talking drum, stood a barefoot boy of 14. Slim, with sun-darkened skin, curly hair matted slightly at the sides, and sharp eyes that carried the depth of someone far older than his years. His name was Chuka. Each day, from sunup to dusk, Chuka wandered the streets and alleys, his arms filled with stringed beads of every imaginable color. The necklaces, bracelets, and anklets he sold weren't just jewelry. They were his art, his hope, and his survival. The beads were made from anything he could find: broken glass, leftover plastic, old buttons, and sometimes real wood or stones gifted by market traders who admired his craftsmanship. He strung them together using fishing lines and sewing threads he picked up from tailors. His tiny corner of refuge was a one-room shelter, barely bigger than a store, located at the back of a church compound. He paid his rent every Sunday night, 1,500 naira, to Mama Oscar, the shelter matron. If he defaulted, he'd sleep outside with the other boys who weren't so lucky. Food came from leftovers bought with whatever change he had left after rent. He hadn't seen the inside of a classroom in 6 years, not since his mother succumbed to the sickness that ate her from the inside out. She was his only family. He remembered how she'd taught him to count with beads when they had nothing else. She used to say, "Chuka, your hands will make beauty from nothing. Just don't lose your heart." He hadn't. One sweltering Wednesday afternoon, Chuka stood by the roadside outside the central market. His beaded items dangled from a tray he had strapped around his neck with an old belt. His bare feet danced occasionally to avoid the scorching heat of the tarred road. He shouted, "Fine beads for madam! Colorful bracelets for your fine daughter." But most people just walked by, uninterested. A few pitied him with coins. Others scolded him to get off the road. He was used to it. Suddenly, a commotion broke out across the street. A girl's scream pierced through the air. A young girl, around 11, was thrashing wildly on the floor. Her limbs kicked out, her voice shrill, her body shaking. A woman cried, "Hold her! She's having another episode!" People gathered. Some watched with judgmental frowns. Others murmured, "Na madness be that?" The mother was clearly overwhelmed. But Chuka didn't think. He dropped his tray and ran. He'd seen this before. A boy from the shelter used to have similar fits. Chuka knew you couldn't restrain them roughly. He gently slid to her side and began humming. A soft tune. A lullaby his mother used to sing. The girl's screams reduced slightly. Then, from his pocket, he pulled out a small string of rainbow-colored beads. With steady hands, he began to weave them in front of her, back and forth, like a moving rainbow. Her eyes caught them. She stared. Then slowly, like a calming wave, her breathing settled. She reached for the beads. The mother gasped. The father stood silent, stunned. She's calm," the woman whispered. The father looked at Chuka like he was seeing a miracle. "What's your name, boy?" "Chuka, sir." "Do you know what just happened? That's the first time she's responded to someone outside the family." Chuka just smiled, sweaty, his tray forgotten. The family introduced themselves. The father was a respected pediatric neurologist in Lagos. The mother was a children's book author. And their daughter, Zoe, was autistic, sensitive to noise, touch, and unfamiliar people. "She doesn't even like her cousins," the mother added, "but she liked your beads. And your song." Chuka blushed. That evening, they invited him to dinner at the guest house they were staying in. He was hesitant. He'd never eaten in a real dining room, but hunger and curiosity won. He ate jollof rice with grilled fish, more food than he had tasted in days. Zoe sat beside him, playing with the beads he'd given her. "Would you come again tomorrow?" she asked suddenly. Chuka nodded. From that day on, the little girl's family returned to the market every day that week, but not to shop, to see Chuka. Zoe's father watched how Chuka made the beads. He took videos. He showed them to his colleagues. "This boy has something," he said. By the end of the week, he made an offer. "Chuka, what if you came back with us to Lagos? You'll live with us. Continue making your jewelry, but also go back to school." Chuka froze. No one had offered him anything that big. Not since his mother died. "But my rent," he started. "We'll talk to Mama Oscar," Zoe's mother smiled. That night, he stood by his shelter door, looking at the stars. His mother's words echoed, "Your hands will make beauty. Just don't lose your heart." He whispered, "Mama, is this what you meant?" Life in Lagos was like stepping into another world. Chuka had his own room, with a bed, a desk, and even a ceiling fan. He had uniforms for school, brand new textbooks, and shoes that actually fit. For the first time, he had a door he could close behind him, a quiet space to think, to breathe, to dream. At school, it was hard at first. He was behind, years behind in some subjects. But his hands never forgot how to count, how to shape, how to thread one bead after another with quiet precision. Numbers made sense to him when they were in his hands, in the rhythm of patterns. He learned fast. His teachers praised his determination, but it was his consistency that truly amazed them. He never gave up, not once. In the evenings, he sat cross-legged beside Zoe in the veranda, a warm lamp between them, sorting through colorful beads like tiny gems. They made bracelets and necklaces together, Zoe chatting away, Chuka focused, quiet, his fingers flying. It became their ritual, their sanctuary. Then something changed. Zoe's mom suggested they share his work online. With her help, they set up an Instagram page called Beaded by Chuka. She took photos of his creations, vivid, beautiful pieces, each unique, handcrafted with love. The first post had barely gone up before the orders began to trickle in, then flood. But it wasn't just the designs people were talking about. It was the effect. Comments started appearing beneath the posts. "I bought a bracelet for my son with autism. He hasn't taken it off since. He says it helps him feel safe. My daughter used to fidget in class, but now she plays with her beaded necklace quietly while the teacher speaks. She's finally able to concentrate. We gave the calming anklet to our nonverbal child, and for the first time, she smiled and signed, 'Happy.'" Parents of children with autism began sharing stories, tagging friends, reposting Chuka's page. A mother from Port Harcourt wrote a heartfelt message, saying her teenage son no longer had meltdowns at the mall when wearing Chuka's beaded keychain. Another from Accra ordered 3 bracelets for her triplets with sensory processing disorder. She wrote, "Your beads are not just beads. They are bridges between their world and ours." The secret, they said, was in the texture, smooth yet intricate, and in the rhythm of the colors. Some children loved the vibrant patterns. Others were soothed by the symmetrical repetition. And somehow, unknowingly, Chuka had mastered this. His designs spoke the language of calm. Orders now came in with specific requests. "Can you make something with blue and green? Those are the only colors that don't overstimulate my daughter." "He loves stars and circles. Can you include those shapes?" "Please add bells to the anklet. My child responds to sound cues." Zoe would read the messages aloud while Chuka quietly nodded, already planning how to bring each request to life. His beads were no longer just ornaments, they were lifelines. The local news picked up the story. "Orphan boys' beads bring hope to special needs families." A short video clip of Chuka threading a bracelet with intense focus went viral. Donations came in. Volunteers offered to help with shipping. A foundation sent a grant to help him scale up. He wasn't just making jewelry anymore. He was building a purpose. And as he stood at a small booth during a school fair one Saturday, wearing his crisp school uniform and a lanyard that read "Founder," beaded by Chuka, he didn't feel like an orphan anymore. He felt seen, he felt chosen, he felt needed. And for the children who held his beads in their tiny hands, spinning them like magic, he had become a part of their healing. Chuka, the boy who once sold beads on the roadside to eat, had become a quiet force of change, one bead at a time. 2 years later, Chuka, now 16, stood before an audience of hundreds at a youth entrepreneurship conference in Abuja. He wore a simple white shirt and a necklace he'd made from semi-precious stones gifted by a supporter. "My name is Chuka," he began. "I used to hawk beads on the streets. Now, my beads are used in therapy centers. Some call them jewelry. I call them tools of connection." He ended with his mother's quote. The crowd rose to its feet. A month later, he received a scholarship to study art and therapy in Cape Town. Years passed. Chuka became a household name in social entrepreneurship. He built centers across Nigeria that trained street children to make crafts. He partnered with NGOs to distribute calming bead kits to special needs schools. He never forgot where he came from, and in every workshop, above every entrance, were the words, "Your hands can make beauty, just don't lose your heart." Dear viewer, life may start with loss, pain, or loneliness. But like Chuka's beads, every broken piece of your story can be strung together into something beautiful. You only need faith, love, and the courage to keep weaving. Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more African stories that inspire.